Welcome to our final tier list for Summer Anime 2025. This is no longer episodic tier list. I'm gonna rate everything based on just my vibes, overall how I felt about it. And some of the shows that actually did finish, I'll give you like, you know, the finale episode take 2. And the only anime right now that hasn't finished just yet is Silent Night, which is gonna finish this coming Friday, but we need to wait for that to give my final judgment of it. Before we do that, let's talk about some shows that we've dropped or dropped, you know, and give you my take about it. And I can't really rate them, right? Because I don't really know anything about it, but I'll give you like my opinion based on how far I got and place it back where it is. So Witch Watch, again, is, I think Witch Watch in the beginning had a lot of potential for greatness. I really love the character interactions between, you know, Moe and Nico, obviously. And the supporting cast, as it developed more and more, I was really vibing. I like the romance slice of life stuff more than definitely the serious action stuff. And I think that's also where people kind of clocked out. I was surprised what happened to the Wolf arc. When, you know, we had this great plot twist near the end of first core when everything should be popping off. People were really clocked out. Why is that? I don't know. People just didn't really care about, you know, the serious elements, and maybe they cared more about the romance and slice of life stuff, but even that stuff was getting dragged along and they just didn't care about it. I think the production value for this was amazing, and it's just an unfortunate anime that should have done well, yet it failed to do so. Womp womp. Let's see. What next? So, the Shy Hero and Assassin Princess or whatever, this was actually a really fun watch. Nothing personal, it's just that viewership dropped as soon as we got to episode 2. And in the beginning, when, again, right? Why do we drop shows? I drop shows not because I don't like it. I'll literally watch something I hate, even if it means that people enjoy it. Because really, I can enjoy pretty much anything. I care about giving my audience what they want. The moment that my audience stops watching these videos means that I'm wasting their time and mine investing into it. And that's what it was. Nothing personal. I think the concept of this show is really cute and funny. It's basically One Punch Man, except One Punch Man is a virgin and all these girls are trying to kill him, yet they get raised instead. I loved it, but womp womp. City Animation, I'd say had potential for first episode. I vibed with it a lot. I really enjoyed the quirky, chaotic comedy nature, and people call this as like the successor of Nichijou. We have to watch Nichijou one of these days. But comedy like this is, I think, is I mean, comedy already is subjective, and I think that my audience didn't really fuck with it too much. I really enjoyed the first episode with like that samurai guy who's eating at the restaurant. But other than that, I guess it was too quirky for most people. What the fuck was this anime? I think we watched first episode of this. It's a guy who has MILF blonde teacher who lives in the boonies, who went out, got a party, got banished, and then created his own party. We watched the first episode. It was already dead by first episode. That's why we dropped it. It looked like generic mid-fun. That's what it kind of looked like. But yeah, people just didn't give a fuck about this shit. Fat Ugly Bastard anime in the beginning, I think, was somewhere around here. Really fun, and it really lived up to the title, Ugly Mug Epic Fighter. Yet, what happened? It turned into Ugly Mug Epic Therapist. I did not care for the, you know, talking about people's problems and their fucking issues the next couple episodes as, you know, Shigeru takes a backside. And it's just like, I feel like they did not deliver on the premise that people even clicked on to this anime to watch. That's why the fall off in viewership is so significant. But on top of that, copyright strife, right? This was also a victim of copyright strikes. That's why I dropped it. I didn't drop it because the performance was bad. I dropped it because copyright strikes. This anime was weird because it's so wholesome and tender in how they deal with depression and tragic backstories, with Dennis being you know, part-time chef, part-time therapist. But the lolly fan service was just fucking out of nowhere. As well as girls getting, most of the girls just get graped in the dungeon and Dennis pulls up. I think that it was kind of here somewhere. I kind of enjoyed it, but I think it was taking a bit too long in introducing all these characters. And once you, and Nokotan is also kind of like a victim of this too, is I noticed that shows that have this structure where they start off strong with like a central plot with the main character, and then the next like 6 episodes is bringing in one character at a time to talk about their problems. And if no one really cares about them, it kind of just like dies off. And that's what happened with this show too. New Saga was a regression show that I think had some potential to be fun, but the pacing was holy shit lackluster, and I think a lot of people also were very tuned out. And Tougen Anki? This shit, episode 1 was so mid, bro. I see the hype fights, yet I'm not feeling anything hype. I see the way that they're trying to make us feel bad about the main character treating his adoptive dad like shit. By the end of the first episode, he learns a great lesson that he took him for granted, but I feel nothing. I don't know. Apparently it gets better later on, but to me, watching the first episode, it was like, I feel very shallow, right? My immersion to this show and the feelings I felt were very shallow. Detectives was probably show kind of here. I did not really click with the comedy. Again, comedy is a very subjective thing. Their comedy is grounded on making ridiculous faces here and there. Maybe it would have translated better in like manga format like Grand Blue. I don't know. Watching the first episode was like, what is even happening? Am I supposed to laugh here? That's kind of how I felt about it. That's why I dropped it. And Kaiju 8, the lowest performing series. It's crazy how bad Kaiju 8 did this season. And it's unreal if you compare the comparisons to like season 1, bro. Like, look at this shit. Kaiju. Bro. This still can't break 2,000 views. I need you to understand how fucking sad it is that a channel with 50,000 subscribers can't even make a video that can get 2,000 views after a month. We're not talking about a couple days. We're talking about a month in. What the fuck are we doing? You can clearly tell nobody cared about it. Absolutely no one gave a fuck about Kaiju 8, which is so sad because, again, if you look at the season 1 content, it was so fun. It was so hype. But the way that the manga ended, I think, left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And it's just hard for me to believe that everybody watching it would be just manga readers because, again, I think most people are anime onlys, but I guess even the anime onlys are kind of checked out. They're clocked out. Womp womp. And that is again, the animes that we haven't finished. So I can't really give you a rating, but hopefully you understand where I came from. Let's start plotting the tier list. So the tier list is obviously set in the typical way that we always have in the weekly tier list too. I think that we'll ignore God tier for now and kind of have peak as the ceiling and let us figure out what are the trash and what are the peaks so we can kind of figure out what the great, good, and the mids could be. I think an easy... What's like the worst anime here that we watched? Honestly, there isn't really the worst. I'd say this was mid. Yeah, I think that the Yuri anime was quite mid. The production value for this show was quite elite, actually. The couple episodes here and there when they go all out with the Sakuga, like the direction, the camera work, the level of immersion that I felt during the character dialogues, it felt like, whoa, what's going on? But the overall storytelling, the structure, how it's presented to me, it felt all over the place. There was no sensible logic happening. It's just a bunch of fucking stupid ass high school girls doing stupid ass things, which I guess makes sense. The Satsuki arc was fucking garbage in the way that it ended, but I liked the character. My arc was just sus ass shit of her trying to go down on Renako. Renako is just, again, the most bitchless fucking just beta ass, you know, MC of a harem. Like, dude, if Renako was a guy, I guarantee you would be more upset about this show. Time after time, I hear about people complaining about shitty ass, weak ass, you know, beta cuck fucking harem MCs who don't deserve anything. Renako is that, except she's a girl. Dude, fuck, she's annoying. Ajisai was the only shining grace, but she got done so dirty, but her conclusion was actually pretty decent. Season 2's announced too, which is crazy. Production value-wise, again, I think this had... Production value, I think this is like minimum 8. But again, the story, the way that's told to me, I don't fuck with it. Mid. What was a really good anime? I think Sakamoto Days is a great anime. Let's put it in great, if not peak. Again, I would rather lowball stuff and then recalibrate and promote stuff later. Sakamoto Days fucking came out of nowhere with season 2 content when I had no expectations. I thought we were gonna do just more mid, you know, season 1 content with, you know, very like Mid fights that should have been hype, but the studio is not delivering onto. Season 2 proved us wrong. It was crazy. The story, I think, is why it was so crazy, right? Because Slur pulling up with Gaku and the boys, as well as the prisoners who ended up just being trash, but it was great, you know, power fantasy to show how they get just rolled just one shot. We got to see Osaragi pop off, right? We got to see, you know, Takamura GG pop. We got to see Saka and Shin's development. It's so good. Lou, it's so pathetic in the way that she got sidelined by so many new female characters. Lou who? But Shin got a lot of development. Saka also is trying to figure out how to fight in his new body. You know, Nagamo is sick as hell. Like, bro, I got nothing bad to say about this. This was literally like easily an 8 out of 10 anime. I think that it's a high 8 though. I don't know if it's in the realm of the 9s. I think that's a bit crazy to say it's in the 9s, but definitely in the 8.5 to 9 range, or even 8.3 to like 8.8, that like mid to like high 8s, I would absolutely fine with placing it there. Brilliant season, so fucking hype, and saved season 1. Water Magician is a case study on how it doesn't matter how strong you start, because sometimes, like, again, I think the hook is so important, right? I think the hook in how you start an anime season, how you bait the audience in and keep them expecting more is very important. But if all you do is hook and don't deliver afterwards, it's gonna become something that people hate more than it needs to be hated. And that is Water Magician. First like 2 to 3 episodes, even up to the Leonore episode, the demon fight, the Akuma fight, that shit was like, yo, this is not a mid anime. This is like an elite anime. And for isekai tropes like this, for to be this done well, I'm like, okay, I think this is in the realm of the 8s easily. This is not a 7 out of something anime. And then what happened? Tidal Bore happened, the dungeon outbreak, and it's so poetically tragic because I was looking forward to that so much. It's a trope that happens in these Bokensha adventure, you know, guild, you know, fantasy setting, you know, animes, and it's really hype because a bunch of monsters come out and it's your time to shine, MC. What was the MC doing? He was on a date at the library. But it doesn't matter if he was a date at the library because everyone else fighting it was also fucking garbage. That shit was an outsourced episode, and at that point I thought to myself, nah, it's fine. This isn't that important. And we've seen exactly how hype this show can get. Don't worry, sure, the quality will sustain itself. The quality did not sustain itself. It became more mid, it became, pacing just became garbage. And even like the Inferno Mage stuff at the very end, yeah, they showed us a relatively entertaining fight, but the quality does not even come close to what we saw. And it's almost like they hired like an ace director. They hired like an S-rank mercenary for like the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then they decided that's the contract, goodbye. What happened? What the fuck happened? Again, if they never gave me any hope, I would probably put this here. But because of, again, my perception of how great this could have been and how much I've been let down, fuck this anime, bro. Straight up, it's mid. This is 7 out of 10. This is 7 out of 10. I hate this shit. It's fucking so annoying. It's so frustrating. Like, I want to glaze this, but the fact that it slapped us in the face like that and just gave us mid after getting our hope, like, why even get the hopes up? Because obviously they want to catfish you into watching it more and more in the beginning. But if you can't deliver on that, fuck you. The main character too, God, it's not that he's zesty. It's his overall attitude and being condescending and treating other people like fucking NPCs that really piss me off. And there's like no logic here and there. It's a very inconsistent, weird fucking character. I just didn't vibe with the show at all. Fuck this show. Next up, a peak anime, I think is Call the Night. I think that I will place it in great for now. But you know what? No, I'm gonna put it in peak. I think that this season was fucking unreal. Probably one of the most underrated shows this season. The director who made this, let's see, Call of the Night. AniChart. Genuinely like elite anime. Actually fucking elite anime. This was season 2. And who was the director? This guy. Tomoyuki Itamura. GOAT. In 2012, Itamura succeeded Tatsuya Oishi as the director of the Monogatari series following Oishi's decision to adapt Kizun Monogatari novels as movies. Beginning with Nisei Monogatari, Itamura directed also Squid. Yep, I see. That's why, bro. Elite talent, bro. This guy is fucking unreal. The level of quality placed into this anime, it shames pretty much most of these other fucking mid animes, man. And not only is the direction great, right? The story itself just expanded more from this slice of life. We're getting some hype-ass action. We're getting some deep-ass fucking setup backstory that happened with Anko stuff come out to light. And my god, Anko's past of backstory was fucking cracked. The way that she had to kill her dad on her birthday, I think, right? When everything was finally going right. The Kiku stuff in the beginning was terrifying. It's gonna be set up for Season 3 stuff if they do Season 3 stuff. The mysteries with Nazuna's lore, with her mom, Haru and stuff like that. Like the things that they've set up and accomplished in Season 2 is fucking elite. This is a peak anime. Definitely an underrated anime. It is a crime that nobody is really talking about this because, again, why? This got it's Season 1 I think failed, and again doing the hook. It's hard to Season 1 was kind of all over the place as there's no structure in what it's trying to do. Is this a slice of life romance? Is this some sort of epic hype show? Is this a detective show? It's all kind of all over the place, and I think a lot of people kind of tuned out without realizing what the potential for this was in the future. Genuinely one of the best animes that I've watched this season. Check this out. This, I think, is definitely into the 9s. I think that this is not a low 8. This is, I think, minimum mid 8s, easily into the high 8s, and I would be fine with this being in the low 9s. Yep, I would be. Hey, are you gonna watch the other 2 episodes of Who Made Me a Princess, or have you already done that? Mods, take his balls away. What's the likelihood of this being the first message? I think it's pretty high, right? It's probably high. Let's see it. How many messages? First message, following 2 minutes ago. And the reason that I just asked you the question of what's the likelihood of this being the first message is because this is the one rule that I have that all these new people break. The one rule that pops up that literally you can't type until you acknowledge is don't fucking ask for a schedule or you get put into detention. It's only one rule, but I understand that most people just click the X out of the pop-up out of, impatience, but still, you can't be doing that, man. You can't be doing that, man. All right, next up. Let's talk about Dress Up Darling. Fuck this show. Fuck Dress Up Darling. But this is unfair, right? Trash? Yeah, you know what? Fuck this show. Is what I would say if I would rate this anime based on only the story in the last arc of how it finished. And this is an interesting case study again to be done, where if Water Magician basically started strong and then didn't give us anything. I mean, Water Magician also finished weak. I'm trying to say Dress Up Darling finished so fucking weak that I think it does a lot of harm and makes people like me forget the greatness that happened in the middle. The greatness that happened in the middle with the festival arc, I think, is the height of Dress Up Darling. The way that Gojo and Marin's development, Gojo basically understanding that he has friends. He has all these people that's willing to help him, support him, and, make this dress. While Marin is also saying, because of Gojo, I'll be #1. And then Gojo also believing in himself and saying, I will place her in #1 with the entire class watching him doing makeup on her. That shit was actually chills. That was peak direction. How the hell did that make it into like a sports anime scene, man? But here's the fucking problem. No matter how great that scene was, the way that this season ended was so fucking annoying. Dude, fuck the way that they... Like, it's not the fact that she didn't confess. I refuse to believe that the quality of a romance show is better if the confession happens the faster. Like, the faster the confession happens, the better it is. Something I don't agree with. A lot of people are saying, look, Fragrant Flower did a confession in season 1. But Dress Up Darling could never, and you're right, it could never, but it doesn't mean it's a better show. It's the fact that it set expectations again. Marin directly saying, I'm gonna confess, and then pussy's out, it's a fucking selfie. Not only that, the Akira stuff. I hate disingenuous red herring misdirections. I think the most laziest and disrespectful and just trash writing is when the author has no idea of actually how to do foreshadowing correctly. They leave you clues and hints that specifically tells you one thing and nothing else. If you're really gonna argue with me that Akira was a a fan from the beginning based on her body language, you are so fucking disingenuous. I would call you a fucking retard. I would. Everything suggests that she is uncomfortable and feels negative towards Marin. The body language, the facial reactions, and the entire time the show is hinting that there may be something negative happen. Turns out she's just simping, and I'm like, ha ha ha, so funny. Like, what was the point of that? You fucking like you delayed that shit. And if that was also just like a one-time thing, I wouldn't have cared. It's the fact that that shit lasted 4 fucking episodes and beyond. What the fuck? Genuinely. But here's the thing. It's easy to just, again, hone in on just these things and get upset and not think about all the other great things that Cloverworks did this season. And Cloverworks absolutely nailed this anime in its production value. It was elite as usual. It's not a mid anime. It's a good anime. But that's where I'm gonna place it. I'm not gonna put this in great, bro. This shit makes me so fucking mad. This rating? 7.9 out of 10. I refuse to put this in the 8s. Even though the production value alone is easily like high 8, mid to high 8, simply based on the story elements and how it fucking like slapped us in the face at the end of how weak it finished, I don't even want to give it a fucking 8. I'm gonna give it a 7.9. Fuck you. It's so sad though that this season that I hate had the best arc in it though. That festival arc though, that's the only thing that I'm gonna remember of this season for my own sake. Next up, let's talk about Arknights. This is a show that I think a lot of people don't really care about because obviously it is a mobile game anime. This, again, is season 3 content, so I don't expect you guys to really know anything about it. And the pacing is so dog shit that if you're not like reading the mobile game lore and everything as an anime only, it's almost impossible to keep up with. Thank God that I have, you know, Arknights fans in my chat guiding me towards the reactions. So to me, it was a good season. I think that the production value was great, right? I think the production value was absolutely great, but it's an anime, it's more than just a production value. It was also the climax of the saga that's been happening since season 1, right? This was 3 seasons in the making to finally conclude the Talula, you know, arc, and it was great. The Talula backstory, it was pretty tragic. The writing, I think, is pretty decent too. It's also like poetic of how innocent and naive and pure she is, and how everything that, you know, she stood up for, she fights against later on. And the arena stuff, the sacrifice, it's pretty obvious, but I think it was done pretty damn well. Direction of it, I think, was great. The voice acting, soundtrack, the Sakuga moments at the end, the animation quality, brilliant. I don't have a personal connection with this show though, but I can still acknowledge that this is a good show. I think definitely high 7s. 7.5 to 8 range is somewhere I would place this. If you are an actual fan of Arknights, I think that because of your loyalty and like your awareness of this show, you would probably put this kind of like here or here, right? But to me, I don't play the game. I just watch the anime, and I'm still appreciative that the Arknights community comes out and checks out my reactions every other year. Next up, Krivates. Krivates was top of good, if not great. Let's think about this. This was a really refreshing anime in how it came to remind us what gory, dark fantasy looks like. An anime that could have been made in the early 2000s maybe, or 2010s, right? The aesthetic, they were definitely going for that, and I think that they did a really good job doing that. The one complaint I have with the aesthetic is the 144p resolution, which it's so funny how many people defend that. Basically, I'll make a comment saying you do not need to make this shit into like 144p and to give this immersion of this like a backstory, and people are like, oh, that's a you problem. This looks great to me. I'm so locked in. Retard, you can't even see what's going on. You're genuinely stupid if you think that's like a good fucking aesthetic choice. I think there's many different ways to do backstories like that. Regardless, the quality put into this anime was fantastic. The intro of this episode was also a very great hook, right? The way that Krivates pops off and just fucks up all the humans and destroys the kingdom. And it was like a 40-minute something episode. Like, god damn, what an experience. And then the first arc leading into it with the Nell stuff, god, the backstory was so dark. It's so morbid. It's so fucked up. She was raped. She's literally a byproduct of getting raped. She exists to basically, you know, only feed children, but that itself is like a purpose that's given to her. So even though it's all messed up, she longs for it. The still childbirth that she had was actually also a lie, right? She was scammed and all of that. Thank God we saved Neteru. That first arc with the bandits, I think, was pretty damn good, but then it started to kind of like lose its structure and pacing somewhere in the middle. Drell was really hype. The insect guy was pretty lame. The pacing in the middle again was kind of sus, but then it finished strong. It had a very strong beginning. It had a very strong ending. The middle portions definitely could have been done better, but you know, nothing can be perfect like that all the way through. I think this was a great anime. I think that this should be high 7s, if not into the low to mid 8s. I think that high 8 is kind of crazy. I'd be totally fine with this being like as low as 7.5, but I think it should be higher than 7.5. I think this should be like a minimum like 7.8, if not higher. I think 8 to 8.5 is like an adequate range of Krivates. I really enjoyed this stuff. I just wish that more people could appreciate the show, but definitely interest was lost. Drell was definitely one of the coolest characters in the show. God, the aura farming was sick. And season 2 announced. Look forward to it. Summer, Hikaru died. Oh, people gonna be mad at this one. I think that this anime is a very overrated anime in the way that people talk about it. I personally can't connect with the characters or appreciate the storytelling beyond episode 1. And here's why. I can acknowledge that the production value for this is elite. Cygames absolutely kills it, and it looks great. The overall character designs, the compositing, the soundtrack, the direction, right? The camera work, all of that, cinematography, I see it, I acknowledge it. Yet, why don't I feel connected to it? In the beginning, I think that the horror elements were definitely legit. With the grandma, you know, fucking popping off with her dying, that was livid, that was insane, that was chilling. But the horror elements end there. It's not really scary after that. And I then watched this show for more of the introspection of Yoshiki and Hikaru. Their overall engagement, the way that Yoshiki loves Hikaru, but this is no longer Hikaru. He's conflicted that this isn't him, but because he loves him and he's so dependent on him, it's a toxic relationship, he's willing to turn aside, you know, a blind eye, even though this is a supernatural creature that has the ability to kill humans just like that. That's kind of what I appreciated more, the commentary and the questions of what is a human. It looks like Hikaru, but and he has the memories of Hikaru, yet it's not Hikaru, right? That is the stuff that I appreciate, and the conflict that he has in the way that he's, you know, struggling to figure out what's the right thing to do, and the problem that comes from that I appreciate. But besides that, it's like the story and the mystery of this village, the pacing, I think is trash, genuinely. Like, I think that people only watch this anime just to see the sus game moments and like some sort of shock factor. But that's like 10% of the show. Bulk of it is just them researching and figuring out what the hell's going on in this village, and that pacing I think is really poor. That combined with the amount of sexual innuendos that is made explicit, not by me, but by the show, it also kind of like makes me laugh. But now again, right? You have sacrificed the horror elements in order to appease the Fujos, which, hey, go for it, man. To me, I'm not the target audience. The pacing was garbage to me, and I can appreciate how elite production value is, yet I can't connect to it because, again, where's the immersion? I'm not immersed. And that's a me problem. I placed this anime somewhere in 7 point something. You think people are afraid to criticize it? Yes. People are absolutely afraid to criticize it. Because, again, this is a bandwagon effect. This is the same thing with people rating Dandadan opening as the best song they've ever fucking heard. Season 1 I'm talking about. But I'm saying, you are a fucking sheep. All you hear is the fucking group called Creepy Nuts doing it. You don't even listen to the song or come up with your own opinions. You feel pressure to call it peak because of the association with the name and you go on with it. This also is the same thing. People think that like it's supposed to be elite. Everyone's glazing this as the best fucking thing to ever happen. And I watched it, and you know what? I don't think it's that great. I think it's good. I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. I think this is a 7 point something out of 10 anime. I don't think this is an 8 for me. You know what was actually great though? First show, I'm gonna put it into peak. Nah, not peak. Let's just put it into great first. We've already put Call of the Night. I put Fragrant Flowers right over here. And you know what? It might actually be here. But let me just cook for a second, right? Let me just cook. I think Call of the Night does deserve a peak though. Fragrant Flowers, it's so good because of the way that it's able to execute these character developments and the interactions to make you feel the warm, bubbly vibes, right? I think that Rintaro and Waguri is great, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. This show is fundamentally different from many other shows because many other shows in romance-heavy drama only focus on the development of the main couple. That's it. This show does more. The friend group, the trust and the loyalty behind the brothers. The association with Subaru too, Rintaro and Subaru too stuff. That stuff was great. Subaru in the beginning also aura farming and being hateful and you know all that shit got corrected so fast, and her awareness and her and Waguri's relationship too. Her realizing her insecurities and stuff, but Waguri's fine with it. Rintaro and his parents. Like, these are things that I think many other romance show in its competitor niche fails to do because side characters are kind of just static NPCs. In this show, it's different, and I really appreciate that. Again, I'm not glazing this show because a confession was done with the proper reception by the end of season 1. I think that if your metric of how good a romance anime is based off of how fast the confession is done, then you could just find any other show that literally just starts off with like a lovey romance relationship in episode 1 and call that the peak romance ever. That's not it. It's about the expectations set and how it delivers onto that. And this show, there was no expectations for a confession to be made. I really thought it wouldn't happen, yet it happened, and I was like, oh my god. And then the finale showing the POV from Waguri of how she already fell in love this entire time to show all these different events from a different light. Amazing episode. Production value from Cloverworks, absolutely fucking elite. I think that Cloverworks actually put more effort into Dress Up Darling than Fragrant Flower in terms of production value. The character acting, you know, the overall background art, the compositing, you know, everything. I think Dress Up Darling is superior to Fragrant Flowers, but not in a significant way, right? It's not that big of a difference, but I can definitely tell that they tried harder for this one. But still, a show is more than just production value, right? I think that the story and the way that I was able to connect with the characters was elite. Therefore, here. Probably should be here, actually. You know what? Probably should be. I'll put it here. Did I enjoy Call of the Night or Fragrant Flowers more? I don't know. They were both great at peak animes, man. But this, I would definitely say is not a low 8. I think this is like a mid 8 to 9. That's where I would put it. It's an amazing show. Next up, Grand Blue. Grand Blue was just Grand Blue. Where would I put this? Probably mid. Probably mid. I think that I enjoyed it more than Summer Hikaru Died though. Does that mean they should be down here? Maybe. I mean, it's my enjoyment at the end of the day, right? I think Grand Blue was a show that is, again, it's all about the comedy. The comedy is not really funny to me. I'm just kind of in there and enjoying the friend group. It's a cozy anime, right? It might have been funny in season 1 for a bit, but the amount of just same old frat jokes gets boring. What I really appreciated from this season was Busujima arc with Kohei, right? Kohei getting bullied for liking his passions and the brothers stepping up and pouring the drink on Busujima's head. That was probably the best Grand Blue episode. What an amazing one. And then she had also like a very significant moment of like a moment of weakness, you know, lying on Iori's back. That was funny. Chisa and Iori's romance, I think, is really weak in the show. The femboy was a nice addition to the cast. We didn't get that much senpai action going on this season. This season was just kind of more slice of life, cozy friend group vibes rather than the crazy wacko comedy. I still enjoyed it. Good season. Season 3 announced. We'll be there to check it out. Mikado no Sisters. Elite. Elite. I'll probably put it here. Dude, this shit was so good. It low-key might be here. Mikado no Sisters is an anime done by PA Works, and I should have known, right, that the quality is going to be there. PA Works is absolutely an elite studio. The production value placed into this anime may not have been as good as some other shows, but definitely top tier. And what I appreciate from this is that the main character was not just a bitch that gets stepped on by the girls. I thought it was going to be one of those shows, Dami Mommy, dominating, you know, the weak beta character for you to self-insert as because it's a show for masochists. But it was very endearing in the way that the main character doesn't give up. He's a weak, short, little character. He's untalented, but he doesn't give up. And he sacrifices himself for what? Not to get some pussy. He sacrifices himself because he wants some semblance of family in his life that was missing because of his shitty mom. And these 3 sisters that he is tasked to, you know, be the butler for, they're kind of all cold and distant, but later on, they see how hard this kid works and they all want to rizz him up, but in turn, they get rizzed back because he's just that good. An amazing anime with amazing pacing. I think probably the best paced show this season. Every episode had intent and each arc was impactful. My favorite arc, I don't know, man. My favorite moment might be, there's so many good moments, like Yu sacrificing himself in like the Yozakura festival to get that picture. He kept failing at the lily pad, you know, jump things, but he kept going for the sisters. The way that he scammed and sacrificed himself, you know, to help Nico out for the karate stuff. The Kazuki stuff, you know, making her feel okay to be quote-unquote a loser because not everyone can be perfect all the time, and the kiss stuff happening. The Mimo arc too, ran. The way that the ending it was done, the dessert that they made, and the kiss that was given. Like, it's such a great, wholesome, bubbly show. I would give this high 7s to low 8 range. 7.8 to 8.3. If not 8 to 8.5. Fuck it. I'm down for that. It was such a good show. I love this show, bro. Next up, Seventh Prince. I think Seventh Prince was not as good as the first season, and I would probably place it here. It was ambitious to cover 12 episodes for one arc, and definitely the pacing was struggling due to that decision, but it wasn't all that bad. The comedy was there. The pig episode was funny as fuck. What else happened? I think that, what's it called? The fight with Giton was not as hype as the fight with Jade in season 1. The beginning of the season was very hype and impactful as we're fighting Jiriel. The Giton introduction was a lot of aura. Then the mid parts again was kind of just like struggling and pacing. The different popes and stuff I didn't really care about. The reveal of Giton was pretty hype. Again, the other priests, characters, side characters, I don't really care. Babylon got a lot of good acknowledgement this season, which was a shocker. I thought that these are side characters that we would just kind of leave behind, but Babylon and Escher, you know, that's a ship. We got to meet, you know, Saria, who is not really a character that we know much about, but is kind of just like a chill sister that was willing to hide, you know, Lloyd's secrets. Lloyd was able to get new powers, Luxa, and Grimm was really hyped too. I would give this somewhere in the 7s. It was a fun, hype show, nothing too crazy. Definitely season 1 was better, but still entertaining. We got some amazing shows here now, huh? First up, let's talk about To Be Hero X. Definitely in the peak. To Be Hero X is something special, man. It's such an ambitious project because of director Howland's decision to do what? Start with a hybrid 3D to 2D animation. And not only that, 24 episodes, but not just in the perspective of one character, but constantly shifting from character arc to character arc. But also presented in a chronological order that makes you realize, holy fuck, all the stuff that happened in the beginning, it's all coming together. Brilliant show, a masterful direction. My complaint again is the stuff that happened probably during the Lucky Xian arc until the end of, what is it, Ghostblade? Johnny? That's kind of it, right? There was definitely that middle period that I think a lot of people were tuned out for, and I wondered if that portions could have been done any better. Essential setup maybe, but I still think that if there is a complaint, it's definitely in those periods. I think that the comedy in this show is elite. For example, like the first arc with Nice Stuff, there's some dark, tragic moments, but man, the comedy was lit. And its ability to make me immersed into the characters, to cheer for the heroes, it was so good. Ahu episode, I think, is a textbook masterpiece in how in a single episode, you can feel emotions. And no, I'm not here trying to shit on Giggles anime, but I'm saying that like in the span of one episode, it is absolutely possible to make you care and connect with these characters. And all it took was what? An orphan child who has everything to lose, that's fighting for her neighborhood, that gets beaten down by a corporation with the talking dog that helps her out. Yeah, it's a tragicness, right? It appeals to that tragedy and how she doesn't give up and I want to root for her. Definitely was connected to that. X is the biggest ore farmer of all time. Hiroyuki Sawano, you know, definitely was masterful in the soundtrack that he composed for this show. God, the more I think about it, the more I realize like we witnessed greatness, man. China came out swinging and I can't wait to watch. Not season 2. I am excited for season 2, but Link Click. Link Click is also a show directed by who? Director Howlin. And when season 3 comes out, days leading up to it, I will absolutely be covering it. Great anime, peak anime. I would rate this. I think like even a rating of like mid 8 to 9 is fine. Is this a 9 out of 10? Maybe. It could be. I wouldn't argue against it, but it's definitely not a low 8 for me, but minimum 8, if not high 8, and perhaps that even is something 9 out of 10. I don't know. It's still super, super great show. Peak show. I would recommend that. Next up, we got Dandadan, and I think that some people are not going to be too happy with my Dandadan score. Dandadan, I think, is either here or here. Let's talk about Dandadan. Dandadan, I think, Dandadan, I think that part 1 was better because of episode 7 and how hard it made me feel. Part 2 didn't really have anything about that. What I really liked from part 2 was, man, the end of, you know, the Cursed House arc with like, again, the Avengers assembling. We're out and Momo's trying to survive and Manjiro pulls up and Baba pulls up and, you know, fucking Chiquita pulls up and all that stuff. Taro pulls up. Like that episode probably was my favorite episode. I really appreciated the romance and slice of life stuff from Okarun and Momo, of course. And what else? That's it. The stuff with Evil Eye at school was really funny too. It was pretty slow. It was kind of weird. The Kinta arc was pretty fun in the beginning with Kinta's character. Of course, him being like this chubby, nerdy guy who doesn't have aura, but actually does have aura. But I was expecting some sort of backstory that I could really connect with, like episode 7, yet that was not present. And the mecha fight with the, you know, well, the training arc with like the Beethoven and stuff, I think was, it looked great, but I just didn't really give a fuck about it because there's nothing like too emotional. Like I'm seeing hype action, but I'm like, whatever, can we go to the next one? Like what matters to me when a fight happens is like the precedent set and like the lore behind it or some sort of meaning, some reason, right? The mecha fight was cool, grandiose, but again, I just don't really care too much about it. I would probably still put it here though. I think it definitely is an elite anime. It's just not as great, I think, as everyone else is talking about. I think that the ending was also pretty fun with like a new character showing up, right? But other than that, it's just like I think about season 2 of Dandadan and what was really that fucking peak. The ending of the first arc, the Maid Cafe Momo Okarun love stuff was nice. Evil Eye at school was funny. Training arc I didn't really care too much about, and Kinta stuff I think was undercooked for me personally. I wish that they would have done more with Kinta. Maybe there was nothing really to do more with Kinta. Maybe he's not supposed to be that kind of character, so it's misplaced expectations for me to place it at. Overall, still definitely like an 8 point something out of 10 anime. Is it in the 9s though for me? I don't know. Elite production value, but stories that doesn't really connect with me this part. Gachakuda, I think is a great anime. I would place Gachakuda maybe here. It's definitely has issues with pacing, but I think we're kind of beyond that hurdle now ever since we met Amo. The recent episode has been absolutely cracked. Amo is a menace, and Rudo, like, bro, the secrets within him, the way that he brutalized Amo last episode, like, what the fuck? A lot of people are saying let this cook, and I think a lot of people are also waiting for Gachakuda to have its come to Jesus moment. There's gonna be something crazy that happens that everyone's gonna talk about this about, and we're kind of waiting for that, and I think it's about to happen. The amount of people hyping up the next couple episodes has me really excited, so I'm glad that it's gonna happen. The first episode, I think, was an amazing immersive dive into the world of Gachakuda. It's not as if we haven't seen these elements of segregation before, but I appreciate that a battle shonen like this, or maybe like a seinen, is able to be more deep and thorough than a show like, let's say, Tougen Anki, right? Because it is a night and day difference between Tougen Anki first episode and Gachakuda. When I watched Gachakuda in the beginning, I was locked in and immersed into the world, caring about why is the politics like this? Why are people segregated? What's going on? What's at the pit? The overall direction was so menacing and so like mysterious and new. I was so into it. This though, I was like, what the fuck is going on? This is so generic. Gachakuda is anything but generic. I love the aesthetics, the graffiti art, the soundtrack, the characters' names as well as designs are hype. Engine is such a cool character. Zanka's just a simp. Rio is a cute girl who seems to has a crush on Rudo maybe, but maybe that's gone now as she sees Rudo pummeling the shit out of Amo. The villains also were pretty hype. The, Jabber, that arc might have lasted a bit too long, but to me, Jabber was such a hype character set as like a rival. The mysteries too, with what's going on with Rudo as well as the sphere, how to get back up there, the series, like the objects that we have, the power system, love it. Absolutely love it. I think this is definitely high 7, low 8 territory. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's fantastic anime. Next up is Apocalypse Bringer. Now let's talk about Silent Witch. I think that Silent Witch is either here or here. Let me think about it. It is definitely an elite anime. I think that Silent Witch is so well produced, and if you care about, this type of introverted character trying to become more bold, you're gonna like it. I think a lot of people don't like these type of characters, right? They are very turned off by how weak and just weak Monica is. Oh, crying. Oh, I'm so nervous, blah, blah, blah. To me, it is kind of annoying, but I care more about like what she does with it, and the development that she's had was amazing. The plot also is very mysterious, right? It's a very mysterious show in the assassination of the Second Prince, as well as the politics behind it of Duke Clockford and what's going on beyond just the Academy, which makes me excited to see the future seasons of. The Empire, was announced, that was the shape-shifting guy. The characters themselves, again, Monica, Isabel, Claudia, Casey, Lana, like it's such a good show. And then the student council too, Denka and like the husbandos, they're great. The more I think about it, the more I realize what an elite anime this is. I think that I want to promote this up here. Is Dandadan better than it? I don't know. What did I enjoy more? Dandadan or Silent Witch? Low-key, I think I enjoyed Silent Witch more than Dandadan. I think Silent Witch has a buff. I think Silent Witch has a buff because it's first season and it's new. I think first season content inherently has a buff compared to sequels, with shows like Sakamoto Days being an exception, because something new is always, if something new is done right, then it's a lot more like compelling than continuation of a story that also kind of ends in a weird way. Definitely elite anime. soundtrack, again, direction, the cinematography, the overall compositing, the art style, right? Like it's just masterful. The person doing this, the studio doing this, absolutely give them a check out. Like, this is an elite anime. I would absolutely rate mid 8s to 9s. I would. Maybe like low 8 to high 8, but definitely not a 7 point something. Minimum 8 point something. Apocalypse Bringer Minogra, I think, is a great comparison to be making with Water Magician, because Apocalypse Bringer Minogra, what was it? A very poorly produced show in terms of animation. It does not come close to Water Magician or Water Magician's potential. Yet, why did I enjoy Apocalypse Bringer Minogra more than any of these shows, actually? Because of the direction, the lore, the story. Because production value is not just animation. Production value is a combination of many things that creates this thing we call anime, whether it be the animation, the cinematography and direction, soundtrack, voice acting, and so on. There's many different elements ingrained into it. And Apocalypse Bringer Minogra did not give you that, what's it called, expectation in the beginning. We already knew that it was like a mid-looking anime, but it had a very interesting story. A story about being, you know, obviously it's not something new, like being stuck in a game, but the 4X, you know, strategy RTS game and its, you know, what's it called, similarities with like StarCraft or Age of Empires and stuff like that I used to play, that aligned with me. The slice of life funny moments with Atto and Takuto, also very funny. The soundtrack and the opening, fucking bangers. And the story, the way that it progressed, and the world building that it's done, even though it's definitely slow, I was immersed, I was locked in, I care about this show. For those reasons, I think that Apocalypse Bringer Minogra, which is way worse produced than, you know, Water Magician in terms of just animation, is still a better show to me, and I would rate this somewhere in the 7s. A 7.5 I think would be adequate. I think 7 point something is perfectly fine with this show. And you know what? Good reminder. Definitely we should bring up Takopi here. Is there anything else that I am not watching here? I mean, we dropped Summer Pockets, but I want to talk about that. Okay. Next up is Takopi's Original Sin. Peak. Probably the best show that happened this season, the more I think about it. And this also has, quote unquote, an unfair advantage. I mean, it's kind of like how martial arts or like boxing has different weight classes, and how you can't really compare some shows or like some, you know, different weight classes. And what I'm trying to say that is, this show was 6 episodes. Not 24 episodes. So inherently there's like a lower risk in 6 episodes, but also you kind of cap yourself with the potential, don't you think, right? I mean, To Be Hero X definitely took out, you know, such a gamble of trying to do so many at the same time, and I think the risk is higher, but the gains are also higher. Takopi 6 episode, you know, what I'm trying to say is, I think it was a benefit. I think it was a benefit in the way that Takopi was able to do 6 episodes because it was so concise. A lot of people are complaining that it was rushed. I don't think it was rushed. I think that it concluded in a really concise and high, not perfect, but in a great way that like 6 impactful episodes like this can deliver a message and make you feel more strong emotions than sometimes 24 stretched out episodes. The commentary about how it is possible for humans to be capable of good or evil, and it depends on the role models and the teachings and the guidance that kids has, I think is a very important, you know, story, right? Because it immediately shows you with this insane tragedy, this shocking, you know, tragicness of this girl who is treated like shit by her family, by everyone else. And you sympathize with her. You sympathize with her, and you're on our side to the point that you want to kill her enemies. And what happens later on? Boom, you realize that she's actually a terrible person too. Because the show is not about good or bad. The show is about, hey, there are these kids, and this is what happens when you do not have adults or actual like grown-ups, you know, leading them. And anyone is capable of good or bad. And the commentary about like moralities and ethics and stuff like that, I think was very good. I think it absolutely delivered the messages. I think that the cinematography and the directing in that episode 4 Azuma episode with his brother, you know, saving him, might be the best produced show of this year. Genuinely just like a insane movie quality anime episode. Soundtrack, voice acting, all that, of course, elite. I think this is definitely a show that came out of nowhere, that took everyone by surprise, and it was so shocking based on the level of tragedy that it's able to, you know, tell you, that I think that this show should be promoted to God. I think this is definitely in the God tier. And finally, Lord of the Mysteries, definitely up here, right? Lord of the Mysteries, I think, had a bit of a shaky beginning with how it presented its first 3 episodes. And what was that? The first 3 episodes was event-based structuring of this introduction that Tencent forced down, which sacrificed the quality of the slow burn that I think a lot of OG fans would have wanted, while at the same time confusing a lot of the new fans who are Unga Bunga Crayon Eaters who can't appreciate, you know, this show because it's happening too fast. After that, I think it got settled, and the thing that really stands out to me about this show obviously is this unique setting, right? Victorian, like it's a fantasy different timeline, like England, maybe London, and Climb Already, you know, it's a transmigrator, and the world of Beyonders, and how well thought out, how fleshed out, right? What really stands out to me is the world building and the depth of the power system and all these different organizations, as well as, of course, the mysteries of this. I think that the emotional tones handled with Old Neil and Mr. Azek was absolutely elite. The coincidences episode where it, you know, I think we were definitely keeping track of what's going on, but like definitely there were things that's happening that might have passed by us, but we watch it again, we realize, holy shit, all these things were all part of the plan. And then, bro, the finale with the way that Ince Zanquil, you know, was his plans being retold by the Feather, the Quill, which was also Cuttlefish, the author, which is kind of funny, right? God, that was masterful. The Chinese, you know, studios, their ability to use their 3D technologies to give light to their background, you know, settings, I think is elite. We kind of see that in some other donghwas too, right? For example, like the brand new anime we watched for Who Made Me a Princess, if you look at the background art, there's something different about it. Their usage of CG in 3D is fucking elite, bro. It is so good. The different maps that they show, amazing. All of it combined just comes into an amazing elite show, and absolutely it is peak. I think the rating for this show is definitely in the mid 8s to 9s. Maybe it would creep up into the 9s. Who knows? And that's pretty much it. Now, let's recalibrate. Let's recalibrate and think, are some shows worthier to be promoted or not? So I'm gonna be very harsh here, okay? This is the part where I'm gonna be very harsh and glaze some shows more or hate on some shows if I don't like it. Fuck these shows. Mid. 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 Low-key mid. Maybe this is good. Maybe this is good. Maybe this is down here. Maybe this is also down here. I want to promote these two. And this is, again, based on, like, my enjoyment. If I wanted to, like, at this point, again, you'll notice that, like, my numbering scores are all over the place with, like, the order of placements in the tiers. Sometimes I'll, like, rate, like, something like Call of the Night as, like, a higher number, yet some of the shows that I put higher on didn't even go up. Because, again, it's just all trivial. It's all arbitrary. And if I wanted to be really, really fucking mean, this is kind of where I would place these shows. Yeah, that's what I would do. This is my summer 2025 tier list. Don't look at the recalibrated version. Look at the one that was pre-recalibrated, because I think that's a better representation. See you next time.